If you ask anyone, what are the top things that you would want in a sibling? You want them to be kind and generous and funny and good to hang around with. All of these things describe James. The fact that he has Down syndrome is not even close to the most interesting thing about him. He's just a great human.
Hello everyone, my name is James White. I live in Newport and I'm 33, but next week I'll be 34. I live by myself. I just turned 30 and I said to Mum and Dad, I think it's time to move out. And I did. And I'm proud I did it. I want to live my life.
Later primary school that I started to maybe realise James was a little bit different, but it was always sort of my normal. For me, the early intervention was this really nice lady coming to play games at our house with mainly with James, but I got to join in, and we had special computer programs that I used to think, oh, this is a cool game, but it was phonics or something like that. So I was always part of that. The big change for me was then meeting other people with Down syndrome and getting to recognise that James was obviously part of our family, but he was also kind of part of this community as well.
I love going to football, like movies and going out, like club stick and bowling. I love my family, my friends, and also my girlfriend.
We grew up in Waikerie, 5,000 people, which sort of had the potential to be isolating. But I think that we always found the opposite. That was almost our support network, whether that's, the sporting clubs or local hardware store where James had one of his first jobs. James could go up the street and he'd see friendly faces and people would stop and say hello, and he was a big part of that community.
I work at Martin for 2 days every week. I've been there for 9 years. My next year, big milestone, 10 years. My vehicle is my bike.
James is an uncle 5 times over. I have 2 kids and my sister has 3. He's a real family man. He would do anything for them and just loves spending time with us as we do with him.
I love being an uncle because it makes me so happy.
From my experience, every person with Down syndrome is a unique individual, and they have different aspirations and different needs, different strengths, different weaknesses. Sometimes the voice of the individual can get a bit lost. I think if you look at someone like James, who, he's living independently and he works and he does his public speaking and he has his games and, the list goes on, and he's very fortunate to be able to have the capability and the support to be able to do all these things. But, realistically, not everyone with Down syndrome has that. They might not want to do all of those things. So while I think it is super important that people do advocate for independence, I think it's important that we recognise that that's a different thing for every person. We do want to have the attitude and the mindset that people with Down syndrome aren't helpless, but they also do need some help, and different people need different types and levels of help and support.
My support worker helps me to plan the meals. I lost me for a week. King's Games. The truth be told, I call myself the king because I got into Game of Thrones and I love outdoors and I love games. I'm so happy to run my own business because I call myself the boss. My goal is my business to make more money. I'll say money with the fingers.
Yeah, there's certainly challenging times. I think that's that's okay. it's recognise all of the amazing and positive things that come with having a sibling with a disability, while also acknowledging that it can be challenging.
My advice with a child with Down syndrome: try your best to live a healthy life.